Congratulations, you finally made it to 4 p.m. You know what that means. Happy hour. It's time to kick back, relax, and dive into the world of sports with the Young and Norvelle Show. Whether you're catching up on the latest scores, analyzing the big plays, or gearing up for tonight's games, we've got you covered. So grab a cold one, settle in, and let's talk sports. Here they are, Patrick Young and Terry Norvelle.
All right, if you got to spend hump day somewhere, well, why not? Brent Beard, Terry Norvelle, we say why not inside Twin Peaks, where the draft beer is always 29 degrees. The food is flowing. The hospitality, the Twin Peaks girls, they are dishing out hospitality, holiday hospitality. And, man, on top of everything else,
yes,
you got some big-time sports talk. Brent Beard, Terry Norvelle, Zach Rothrock producing. We may or may not hear from Patrick. I think Patrick's in Gainesville tonight. Florida. Right? Florida is hosting Virginia in the ACC Basketball Challenge Day 2, and we'll get into that.
Yes.
What an ass whipping last night. The SEC ACC Basketball Challenge is all 16 teams now, right?
Correct,
the SEC has 16 teams.
Yes.
They all play a game against the ACC. That's the challenge, and it's done every year. Last night, 10 of the 16 games were completed. The SEC went 9-1, and Kentucky lost the only game to Clemson.
That's amazing.
And Clemson was good last year.
Yeah,
they were a deep run.
Oh, yeah.
And I know NFL, Trevor Lawrence, all kinds of the reveal show, signing day, all of these topics are bigger than this, but we're going to get back to it in a little bit. But what about the SEC undressing the ACC, which is the basketball power last night, 9-1, the ledger.
It really tells you the strength of the SEC because
we've been saying it.
You and I both know 10 years ago, there's no way this happened.
Never.
It would have been reversed.
And was it Mike Slive or was it Sankey that came in and said, boys, we got to quit playing Eckerd and Charleston of nobody and Charleston of whoever.
They got
pick it up. Was it Slive or Sankey?
The thing they did was they brought in Mike Tranghese.
That's what they did for the Big East.
And they said, look, we've got to make basketball better.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what's happened.
Tranghese, who was the commissioner of the Big East back in the day when the Big East was unbelievable in men's college basketball. And I'm glad, gosh darn, you're so much smarter than I, and you remember more. The SEC went to Tranghese and brought him in basically as an analyst and said, look at our product, SEC basketball. What are we doing wrong? And Tranghese came back and said,
that's right.
You're not playing anybody in November, December.
Right.
And then you're getting beat up when the opponent is like this in February and March and April.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And wasn't that Tranghese's? That was his report.
Yeah.
He said, you got to toughen up.
Yeah. Yes. And they
did. And now what?
And probably besides what, Terry, the Big 12, you can make the argument they're the best league in the country.
And I tell you, top of the league, they may not have appeared.
Oh, no.
Top 4 or 5, top 5, they may not have appeared. Now, all the way to 16, okay, we may quibble of Big 12 and 18, blah, blah, blah. The top of the SEC does not take a backseat to anybody.
And the truly amazing thing is 2 of them come from the state of Alabama.
How about that?
How about that? And Auburn has not lost. They play Duke tonight.
Yes, correct.
And then Bama plays.
That's number 2 ranked Auburn taking on at 9 ranked Duke.
Yes.
But go ahead, I cut you off. Alabama,
and then Alabama
10 versus 20.
Yeah, and
North Carolina. North Carolina and Duke.
Yeah,
and I think Bama and Auburn might win both games.
Alabama beat North Carolina last year.
Yes.
To advance.
And frankly, was it 2 years ago? Auburn probably got I think Auburn got knocked out in the Final Four against Virginia.
Yeah.
And Virginia went on to win it. Auburn, if memory kind of serves me right, got a terrible call late in that game.
They did. Yeah, yes.
And probably should. Auburn under Bruce Pearl probably should have one national title.
Or at least played for
it. And at least played for it.
Yeah, yes.
And I've already seen, and there's a long way to go. I know there's injuries and suspensions and development, and I get it. I've seen a first 10 games article that said, okay, 10 games into this thing, who's the favorite to win the national title? Auburn was number one.
Yeah.
Auburn's good. Alabama's good. These teams are good, man.
Look, what's really unusual about what happened yesterday is the SEC goes 9-1, and your only loss is Kentucky.
And yes,
the team.
How about that? The blue blood of all blue bloods.
The only one who may have won 10 years ago is the only one who loses now.
So SEC, ACC basketball challenge. I promise we've got bigger fish to fry, and we'll get to that here on the Young and Norvelle show. Brent Beard, Terry Norvelle. The SEC 9-1. Brent, most of them were blowouts.
They were.
They weren't 2-point wins at the buzzer. They were blowouts.
No, they were.
Tonight, okay, so 9-1 SEC. Tonight, 6 more games.
Yes.
And that'll be it. Everybody from the SEC will play. So 6 more games. Here are your games.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama at North Carolina, 10-2. Wow. Can't wait to get home to watch that.
Absolutely.
Virginia, who won a national title within the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Virginia at 13th ranked Florida. Wow.
Yeah, yes.
Can't wait to rush home and see that. I'm being serious.
Oh, yeah.
How about number 2 ranked Auburn? Some people are calling them the best team in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Pearl and Auburn roll into Duke and take on 9th ranked Duke, Cooper Flagg and those guys.
Oh, yeah.
How good. This is tonight, boys and girls.
It is. Look, this is virtually NCAA tournament.
It really is. That's 2 versus 9 tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, ACC Pittsburgh, 18th. They're at Mississippi State. Okay, Mississippi State.
Yeah.
And you think, okay, Pitt's probably going to win that game. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Okay, your 5th of 6 games tonight. Texas, the Longhorns at NC State. Neither are ranked. Okay.
Yeah.
It's at NC State, but I'll take my chances with Texas.
Absolutely.
And then your final game tonight of the 6th, Vanderbilt at Virginia Tech. The SEC already leads 9-1.
Yeah.
And I think these wins help when they start looking at your resume.
Well, if they just split, it'll be what, 12-4?
12-4?
Yeah.
That's a whooping.
It really is.
Where I come from, that is a whooping. Yeah. All right, Brent Beard's here. Terry Norvelle, feel free to drop us a chat. Whatever platform you are following the show, if you chat, either Zach or Brent and myself, we'll see that. We're at Twin Peaks. You know it by now. Wonderful place, man. I got here early, had some food myself. Great crowd. The draft beer right now is at 27.00.
Even colder.
27 degrees. They guarantee 29.
That's about what it is outside.
And I think it is outside. They just open up the back door. That's what they did. The freezer door is open.
Yeah.
Great food, great hospitality. Let me tell you something. You fill in the blanks.
Mm-hmm.
It's cold outside. Warm inside Twin Peaks.
It sure is.
It's warm inside Twin Peaks.
Yes.
Reveal show yesterday. Really, we knew this part, right?
We did.
The back part.
Right.
The controversy, wink, wink. The argument, wink, wink. Alabama got the nod by the committee a week ahead.
True.
Over what? Miami, Ole Miss, South Carolina.
Yeah. Right.
And Brent, before you talk about what you've been talking about, that eyeballs are going to win this thing on the back end, I want to bring up Zach Rothrock, our buddy, producer, if he's not tied up in studio. Zach's a big South Carolina fan, and it's been a hell of a year, Zach, if you can fire yourself up here in a moment. And I want you to be honest. I want you literally to –
I'm not so sure you do.
Not that you're not always honest, but I want you to take off your South Carolina Gamecock hat. I want you to put on your neutrality hat. And, Zach, Alabama looks like, and it wasn't official yesterday, but it looks like Alabama's going to get that final. There's one at-large bid that's dangling, right? Can I say that?
Yes, that's fair.
Yeah, there's one that's dangling. The teams mentioned Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Miami. Zach, it looks like Alabama is going to get the nod with the big tradition and the eyeballs. If you took off your South Carolina hat, who would you put in that final spot?
It's hard to say. On the spot here. Yeah, I mean, it's almost impossible for me to look at it through that lens. You know what I mean? It's hard to say. I mean, at the end of the day, the South Carolina, they did get 3 losses, and so I mean, they have that, and then they did lose directly head-to-head to Alabama and directly head-to-head to Ole Miss. So I understand the arguments. But I personally feel like any of the 12 teams that are going to make the playoffs, I would take the Gamecocks against them head to head right now on a neutral field. I just feel like their defensive front is. Yeah. I feel like their defensive front is playing that well.
And you know what? Unfortunately, 4 of the games are played on campus sites, but hey, makes a good point.
I would like them on the road too. They have only lost 1 game on the road.
My biggest argument, if they came to Terry Norvelle, who I hope I'm neutral, and they put a gun to my head and said, Terry, there's your 4 teams. You got 1 spot. I'm going to work from back to front, not from front to back. I would have to say South Carolina, it's been a hell of a year. You've got the same record. You look like you're playing real good football, but you did lose to 2 of the other 3 teams in the mix. You lost head up to Alabama, and you lost head up to Ole Miss. That would make me bump South Carolina out. I just don't think Miami in the ACC plays a great schedule with 2 losses.
They didn't.
That would put me Alabama, Ole Miss. Brent, I'm going to tell you what I think, and I want you to tell me what you think. If it came down to Terry, you just weeded 2 out. You still have 2, but you have 1 spot. I would lean Ole Miss, and here's my push over the edge reasoning. Very close. They're very close. They both play in the SEC. What an ironic year for those 2 not to play. They've played every year for a million years. They didn't play this year because we don't have divisions. They play every year. My push Ole Miss maybe across the line would be Georgia. I may use Georgia as the litmus test and go, Georgia's a good football team. Georgia may win the national title. Alabama and Ole Miss both played Georgia. I'm not so sure if there was 2 minutes left on the clock. Georgia might have come back and beat Alabama. Alabama held on. Ole Miss ran away from Georgia, I thought, the whole game. That might be my – and I'm looking for a razor-thin reason. What are your thoughts? And you nailed it. You nailed it about it. And Zach, you know this show. You're on it 3 times a week. Brent nailed this thing, starting to say, you know what? That committee, when push comes to shove, they're going to go eyeballs and tradition and history.
Right. That's right.
And it looks like that's where they're going. Well, Brent, pick it up from there.
Well, first let me say for Zach, what's exciting is that South Carolina is even in the conversation. I think that's how much progress they made over the years. And look, matter of fact, check this, Zach. I heard this coming in. South Carolina may have a new AD replacing Tanner. That I think maybe.
I think he may be stepping out. He's been there a long time.
And I think he's coming from TCU.
Is that right?
He's coming from.
Yep. TCU's Jeremiah Donati, I guess
that's it. That's it. That's one of the news things of the day. Here's reality for what's going on. I know you're hearing, well, if SMU beats Clemson, then Alabama will be in. I talked to a friend of mine last night who's a consultant who has dealt with this. What he told me is the people at ESPN have to satisfy their advertisers. Now put your advertising hat on.
Isn't that terrible? Okay? Isn't that terrible? But it's true.
Because you're as good at this about this as anybody I
agree,
know.
Man.
And here's the reality of this. This is what they are looking at. They are looking at a possible Alabama, Penn State, or Alabama Notre Dame.
My God.
Opening game. And what they're looking at is, now let's be honest about this. If those 2 played, you're going to have, now remember this.
So unfair, but I totally agree.
Alabama, Tennessee had 10 million people watching it. Georgia, Texas had 13.
Yeah.
Now, if you've got Alabama, Notre Dame, or Alabama, Penn State, you're going to have what? 12 million, 15 million at least.
And I don't know if Zach is still with us. Obviously, Zach is a little bit younger than us. Okay, I want to throw that out, Zach. And this is so unfair, but when the razor's so thin, you got to cut somehow. Zach is from an age era that doesn't. Alabama, Notre Dame was the two big monsters, and I mean that in a good way,
yeah,
of all time. They played a couple times in the early 70s.
Yeah.
Alabama, Notre Dame, Bear Bryant, and the Irish, and Newt Rockne, and Ara Parseghian, and Dan Devine. It was when Alabama and Notre Dame matched up, it was monstrous.
Yeah.
Alabama, Penn State.
Yes.
Bear Bryant. I don't know, Zach, and you were getting into it when Paterno was getting out of it and Penn State had their trouble. Penn State, Alabama, they'd play in a regular season game every blue moon in the eighth. It was huge.
Oh, yeah.
It was monstrous. The goal line stand in the Sugar Bowl of 79,
77.
77. I mean, and they're still putting, and keep in mind, a lot of those voters, Zach, are not your age. They're my age. That's not fair, but Alabama, Penn State, Alabama, Notre Dame versus South Carolina. You said it, Brent. You've been saying it. The eyeballs are probably going to win. The TV sets are going to win.
Yeah. Well,
and they did, it looks like.
And here's the other thing that happened. You remember when TCU played Georgia?
Oh.
I can tell you the advertisers and the TV folks got together after that. And they said, guys, we can't have this happen again.
And TCU a bit. Let the little guy in.
Yeah.
Send the little guy. Yeah. Well, the little guy went
but I feel like we're not, the Gamecocks aren't I just feel like comparing them to TCU is not, I mean, I don't know. Me personally, I feel like they could go head to head with anyone right now.
I agree with you.
TCU didn't come out of the SEC. South Carolina did. But South Carolina football just can't stack national titles like Alabama, Notre Dame.
But why does it have to be that? Yeah, but they never will if they never get a shot, why does it have to be such a snowball?
I totally get it. Get it. But you're in that room, and you've got to slice that onion one more thin layer.
Yeah.
What do you use? And you go, does John Q. Public, American sports college football viewer, do they want to see South Carolina or Alabama?
Well,
I don't know.
But here's what's happening with this one immediately is, do they want Alabama or Miami?
Yeah, I agree.
That's what it
feels
is.
like.
And then Miami's got the issue. I mean, Miami's issue is almost like what Florida State's fighting for. Hey, man, ACC, you haven't kept our conference high enough above water, and we're getting crushed. Miami's getting crushed because of the ACC's lack of perceived strength. Which is why FSU's going, we don't want to pay the exit fee because we're exiting because you, conference ACC, did not keep doing your due diligence and keeping us above the water.
And I'm not saying this is
Isn't
fair.
that right?
Yes. I'm not saying this is fair. I'm just saying that's what we're dealing with right now is, look, they've done the math behind closed doors. What is Miami, Notre Dame going to give you for TV? And what is Alabama, Notre Dame going to give you for TV?
Yeah, and that's terrible. Zach, where was the South Carolina Alabama game at? Obviously,
it was Alabama.
It was. Yeah.
And Brent, I think I've got this right. I think everybody's schedule is just reversed.
It
next
is.
year.
It is.
So Bama rolls. Bama's rolling.
Yeah, I think
Columbia.
so.
Yeah. Bama's rolling into Columbia, but I know, Zach, this doesn't help you, Zach, the fan. But if you've got to cut it, the killer for South Carolina is they lost to both of them head up. They lost to both of them head up. That's the killer. And Zach, if you and South Carolina fan were on the other end, you'd be going, wait a minute.
Well,
we beat both of them. How do you, right? I mean,
and the thing
that's the tough.
And the thing that's going to help Zach in South Carolina is this year, next year, we're 12, but we'll be going to 14 and 16 in 2 years. But again, here's a reality for this too, and we'll count them up in a minute. But the SEC and the Big Ten, we're going to have a minimum of 4 each every year.
Now we're at the end of our segment.
Yeah,
and we've got Go ahead, Zach. You had something.
Well, I was going to say before you got a break, we did actually get some breaking Jaguar news. Adam Schefter tweet. Trevor Lawrence is officially on injured reserve, and he looks like he will be done for the whole season.
And the way the IR works now, there's like a 4-week, but that would take him to the end, right?
Yeah, but the general consensus is that he'll be done, though. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have 5 left, so he would be done. And that
right.
Thank you for that breaking news, and thank Adam
That's
Schefter.
Logical.
Absolutely. Why play a 2-10 guy?
Yeah, $55 million.
Yeah.
And there's no way to get the playoffs. Absolutely.
We could spin back to college football, but as we break, let's talk a few minutes about just this situation. And we'll talk to Dr. Bates about the head injury coming up a little bit after 5 o'clock with our Southeast Orthopedic Specialists sports medicine discussion. Trevor Lawrence has been beat up in 4 years here. He'll be going into his 5th year. He had and I was researching it, Brent. I was watching the game way back when he was at Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he got his first start. He had been playing a little bit, and he finally took over the job because he was the 5-star that took over the job at Clemson. They were playing Syracuse.
Mm-hmm.
And it might have been a noon game. I'm watching the game. This is 7-8 years ago. And he took a nasty hit in that game and came out. I think Syracuse, they had that backup kid that bounced around, came in and hit a couple passes. Syracuse, Clemson won the game. He's had at least, they didn't call that a concussion, but if you saw him get hit, it was a concussion.
Oh, yeah.
The point I'm making, Trevor Lawrence, his football odometer has a lot of miles on it, man.
It does.
The Jacksonville Jaguars have got he won't make another 2 years if they can't protect him. Am I fair to say that? And Zach, I'll take your thoughts as well.
I was going to say the same exact thing. And people won't like it, but they need to spend this offseason. If they do nothing else, they've got to rebuild that offensive line because they're not going anywhere until they do.
Totally agree. My buddy Aaron says, "Hey, fellas, thanks for checking in, Aaron."
Yes.
But it's not sexy, but and frankly, I don't know if going into next year, 32-year-old Mitch Morse is the answer.
Yeah, right.
Maybe that, but I mean, it's a tough. I'm sitting here looking at FSU and the Jaguars and thinking, how are they going to get out of this deep hole quickly?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a quick answer.
Look, I'm not sure FSU's not more trouble than the Jaguars.
They may be, but you look at the Jaguars, they've got to rebuild and I know they just signed Walker Little. Again, I pride myself and our show on we're never going to be the fluffy local Jaguar media.
No.
And they're going to do it. You guys fell for it for about the 15th year in a row.
At least.
And you and I, Brent, and Zach and Patrick, we were trying to go, are you sure Gabe Davis is worth this? He's Gabe Davis.
Yeah.
Mitch Morse, right? Eric Armstead. The Jacksonville Jaguars, it's not sexy. They've got to totally rebuild their offensive line to protect this guy. How many more nasty injuries does Trevor Lawrence have? He's going in his 5th year.
Sure. Good point.
That odometer has been spun around a bunch.
Sure it is. Oh, yeah. But look, at 2-10, they're not going anywhere. There is absolutely no reason for him to see the field again.
You put that Ferrari, that Lamborghini in the garage in January, February, March, April, May, June, maybe you break it. But during those months in the garage, you work on the timing belt, you add new oil, you work on the carburetor, you work on the suspension, you tweak that Lamborghini. He's the closest the Jaguars have to a Lamborghini. And you get him as close as what do they call that? Factory default. And Zach, you've got to get him as close to factory default as possible, and then you have to turn a quality offensive line. And I don't know if you can do that in 1 year. I don't know if you can do that.
I don't think you can either. But real quick, look, as good as he is, as much money they paid for him, he needs to get a lot better.
He does.
I mean, that's just the reality of it.
He does.
And he would probably say the same thing.
And you wonder if a guy like Trevor Lawrence, is he in culture shock. And by that, I mean, he's been on, and had he gone to a better franchise, a ready-made franchise, he may not have gone through this, but you wonder if Trevor Lawrence is going through culture shock. His Pee Wee team was the best Pee Wee team and roster in Pee Wee League, right? His junior high school team was the best junior high, and this is documented.
Sure.
Where he came from Georgia.
Right.
Was the best. He never lost a game.
Yeah.
Was the best Pee Wee League roster and team in Pee Wee League football. His high school team was the best high school roster, and they won everything. They never lost in high school football in his area. His college team was one of the how do you split Alabama, Clemson back in that era? Clemson was as good as anybody, the roster, the offensive linemen, the receivers, the coaching staff, and all of a sudden, the culture shock. Is there something to that?
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't have the best of the best of the best of the best.
No. So,
but you're going to war. You're going to war with not as many bullets. But it's easy when your Tommy gun is full of bullets, right?
Right. And I folks won't believe this yet, but your point is a very good one. Is what they need to be competitive, you can't do in a year.
You would think it's hard because we've talked offensive line. The Jaguars' secondary is a mess. Their defensive line still needs a little help, but I think you can massage that. The linebackers, and I know Oluwakin's Mr. Tackle. I'm not so sure Oluwakin winning the tackle award every year isn't a damnation on the Jaguar defense.
Yeah, I
don't want my guy, one guy leading, and he's in the secondary level. The second level linebacker. I don't want my guy leading the league in tackles every year. That means the running back is bursting through for 5 yards.
Oh, yeah, and I will say this, though. Mac Jones had a few moments.
A little bit.
Last Sunday.
A little bit.
Leading them back.
A little bit.
I just
don't see where they're going to turn it around quickly.
No.
I don't think they've got many bullets in the gun to turn it. I don't think they've got much money to spend. Gosh darn, don't they have to? They almost have to tank. They almost have to get the first. We talked. The Raiders and Giants are, if the draft ended today, Jaguars, Raiders, Giants, both desperate for quarterbacks. That's about the only way the Jaguars can get started to get out of this hole.
Yeah.
Now you got to lose a bunch of games, and you got to make sure they lose a bunch of games.
Yeah.
You need two teams behind you fighting for Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward.
Yeah.
And then you go, okay, who's got the best offer?
Right.
Other than that, how are they going to? And I don't even know if that gets them out of the hole quickly.
No. They, as we've said over and over again, it won't be sexy and people won't like it. But if they get the number one pick, they need to trade it. They need to get
multiple players.
They need to get multiple players, multiple draft picks. And use primarily all of them on the offensive line.
Yep. The best, dream for the Jacksonville Jaguars is that draft order finishes like that. Okay.
That's right.
Jaguars win no more games, maybe one, but if the draft order's got to finish. And Zach, I promise we're going to take a break. The best, dream for the Jaguars. The draft order ends like that. They dangle, and they're probably already calling.
Probably.
I know you're not supposed to be already. Hey, looks like we're getting one. Obviously, we don't want a quarterback. We got Trevor Lawrence.
Right.
Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward. Raiders, you need a quarterback. You're desperate for a quarterback. You're going to take a quarterback.
Yeah.
Hey, Giants, we know as well. Hey, Giants, we are talking to the Raiders.
Sure.
Hey, Raiders, we are talking to the Giants. You know what? I'll tell you one thing. The sweet spot would be we want one of your starting offensive linemen and a DB, and we want your pick. And we want your pick.
Right.
And we'll swap it. That way, if you love Shedeur Sanders, that's your must-get guy, or Cam Ward, deal with us, and you have him. But don't deal with us, and we'll go to the Giants. Now, will that make the Jaguars a contender? I don't think so, but it's a start.
It is.
My God, it's a start.
Absolutely, it is.
It's a start. All right, Zach, let's take a break. We've gone way long over. Brent, we come back. Let's talk about, again, the selection show last night. I think it will mirror pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't think it's way off. And signing day.
Yeah. Matter of fact, we've got access to 24/7's list,
okay,
team list, and player list.
What do you got? On the other side.
Yeah, on
the other side?
We'll go through that.
We'll get into some signing day.
Yeah.
It is National Signing Day, and a lot to cover. Brent Beard, Terry Norvelle, Zach Rothrock producing, a lot to do. As we come back to our Wednesday home, you know it by now, we love our Hump Day hangout, which is Twin Peaks, Atlantic, and Kernan.
At Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, we know pain and injuries can stop you from doing what you love. This is why our board-certified orthopedic specialists offer the latest in both non-surgical and surgical treatment options and create a treatment plan tailored to your unique lifestyle and goals. So, whether it is a sports injury or that nagging pain that's keeping you from doing what you love, our team has the right treatment for you. For more information or to schedule an appointment online, visit our website.
Finally, a family atmosphere, kid-friendly restaurant with a real sports bar feel. Rick's Jack's Beach features all of that and a large, climate-controlled covered patio with misting fans and heaters for all seasons. Mix in an extremely diverse menu that features the most quality and affordable steak at the beach, and there's no reason not to enjoy your next lunch, dinner, happy hour, or big sporting event at Rick's Jack's Beach, 300 2nd Street North in Jacksonville Beach. See you at Rick's Jack's Beach.
You really got to hand it to him. Hold on.
The previous play is under further review.
I'm not sure what he could review, but okay. Sure has been a while. Dynamic Hurricane Grill and Wings for the football season. Well, there he is. Oh, what is that?
The Action Sports Jax 24/7 network is streaming. I'm Stuart Weber, and I'm here to teach you a nice three-step process on how you can watch all your favorite programming from the Brent and Austin Show every weekday 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or the Cup Date with me. It's fantastic. We talk NASCAR. It's a great time. Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. All right, first step, easy. Download the Action News Jax app. You probably already have it downloaded on your phone, so you might already have that one taken care of. Step 2, see that stack of pancakes up there? You click that stack of pancakes, and it's going to bring down step number 3, which is a full screen of all the different streams that you can click on, including the Action Sports Jax 24/7 stream. You click that, the video's rocking and rolling on your mobile device. You're watching all the shows you want to, and you're having a good time. You can also do it on your smart TV with the Action News Jax Now app. I do it on my Samsung TV at home. It's a great way to watch it on a nice, large screen for all the content. That's the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Hope you can find it.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242.
You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing.
Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Maybe you need a new tankless water heater or something a bit more intricate. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242 or cgcwater.com. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
All right, back we are. Loaded house here on a Wednesday Hump Day edition. We are set up, myself and Brent Beard, live at, you know it by now, Twin Peaks, having a big time at our Wednesday home. Great specials. I'll get everything that they've got going on at Twin Peaks. There's some of my friends walking out of here. Hey, you see my big buddy right there?
I just saw him. Yeah,
and his friend there. Look, a cute little blonde there.
Right.
Okay, you see them walking out?
I do.
That's Chip. Big old strong. Look how big it's. Hey, they just went to a movie, and he kind of number one. Chip always has a hat on.
Yeah.
And I want Patrick Young to hear this. He doesn't have his hat on.
Right.
And he said when she was in the bathroom, I said, "Oh, what y'all been doing, man? You here having some lunch at Twin Peaks?" He says, "Yeah, we went to the movies right over there." Well, yeah. What'd you see? Like a smash 'em up fight and a Die Hard?
Wicked, I bet. Right.
No, Wicked.
Yes.
Whatever the hell Wicked is. Patrick, they're dragging our real men out to see Wicked, for God's sakes. I like the shirt you got on, Pat. That's nice. Wicked. Yeah. Dude, are you heading to Gainesville? Well, by the way, I love that shirt you got on.
That is neat.
It's not a onesie, but it's a ugly sweater gator edition and pants. Man, matching pants.
That thing is nice. Are you heading to Gainesville?
Yeah, heading to Gainesville.
Hey, big game tonight, man. Hey, Pat.
Big. They're gonna wipe the floor with Virginia.
Boy, you hate Virginia, don't you? That style of play.
They score 53 points a game.
Are they going to? Hey, Pat, are they going to continue that style of play this year?
You think?
Even though
I mean, the new head coach is like under Tony Bennett's branch. I don't know why not.
Yeah,
I would love for them to break that.
It'd be tough to totally change your style, right? A week into the season, right? Wouldn't it be hard, Patrick, to change your style?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it would be rough. Yeah.
Hey, man.
But there can be some small things that he does that maybe he thinks are a better philosophy. But yeah, Tony Bennett, man, that guy loves the slow.
Yeah.
And, isn't it sad? Isn't it sad? It's just sad, man, that a coach like him that's had such a great career just could not do it with the transfer portal and NIL stuff. He's just like, enough is enough. I don't want to do this anymore.
And the only guy in the world that played a slower brand of basketball than Tony Bennett was his dad, Dick Bennett.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. Really.
Hey, Patrick, man, I'm.
Oh, that's where you got it from.
Yeah. Because Dick Bennett was at Wisconsin, and he would turn a 90-point game into a 48-point game in a heartbeat, dude. In a heartbeat, man. Hey, Pat, I'm watching college basketball last night like most people, and man, I'm just kind of watching and flipping channels and hanging out with my dog. And then late in the night, Patrick, SEC Network flashes up the review of all the games. SEC ACC Challenge night number 1. Hey, they went 9-1. The only loss was Kentucky lost by 4 to Clemson. Patrick, what about the opening night? SEC 9-1 tonight.
Well,
6 tonight.
Doesn't the ACC only have 2 ranked teams like every year? They only have Duke and North Carolina, the only ranked teams every year. But look, Florida lost to Wake Forest last year. I didn't see that Clemson team must be better than we thought because but they lost a lot of guys, and they have a 6-year guy, Chase Hunter or whatever. He's a 6-year, which I didn't realize that. But Kentucky's scoring 96 points a game this year, and they got held to like in the 70s or whatever it was.
And it was a 4-point game, I think. Kentucky humped
4-point game, yeah.
But my God, hey Patrick,
everybody should win. Everybody in the SEC should win tonight. Auburn should win.
Yeah, Bama at North Carolina.
Bama should win. Florida will win. Yeah.
It's 10 versus 20. Virginia at Florida. Florida's ranked 13th. Auburn is number 2 in the nation, and they're legit, man. They're legit. They're at Duke. By the way, how good is that game going to be tonight?
Oh, yeah.
How many athletes on the floor tonight? Auburn at Duke, Patrick.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I love that for Coach Pearl so much. I think they're going to win.
I like Coach Pearl. I think he would drive me crazy after about 4 or 5 years, and I'd have to get away from him. But
Yeah.
I would love to play for him for 4 years.
And listen, both Alabama and Auburn have beaten Houston already. But Pat,
who's great,
this is something that Terry and I have talked about, and you can appreciate this as much as or more than we can. Years ago, now the league is 9-1 against the ACC. Pat, 10 years ago, easily, 15 for sure. That would have been reversed, right? The ACC would be 9-1 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Syracuse not being any good anymore, really. Yeah. The drop off that program's had.
Good point.
I'm trying to think who else outside of North Carolina and Duke that have been in and out of the top 25.
NC State,
Virginia, absolutely.
Virginia, yeah.
Georgia Tech, no.
Yeah.
Boston College, no. I remember Boston College, they were the worst team in the ACC, and Syracuse was number one. At some point my senior year, and Boston College beat that Syracuse team. And I remember I got in trouble because I was like, when I found out after the game, I was like, wow, Boston College sucks. And the media heard that one, they made sure everybody knew that's what I said.
Well, guys, don't forget, up until –
it's true, though.
Hey, don't forget this, guys. Up until, 2 years ago? FSU had a run of about 6 years where they were damn good.
Oh, yeah.
They were. FSU
they were.
I mean, they were a threat to Sweet 16, Elite 8.
Oh, my gosh.
Almost every year.
Yeah, that hurts them a lot, too. That hurts them a lot.
And Pat, I don't know if you remember this. You were probably just getting out of your playing days, or you may have still been in your playing days, or right out. You may have been in Europe. But Brent and I talked about this. What happened with SEC basketball? And what did we say? It was Mike Slive, I think, before Sankey.
Yeah.
Mike Slive, who was the commissioner of the SEC before Sankey. Mike Slive got tired of the SEC not competing big in basketball. I mean big, top to bottom, right?
Right.
Mike Slive went and hired a guy named Mike Tranghese. This was 15 years ago?
Yeah. Yes, easily.
Mike Tranghese was the commissioner of the old Big East, when it was great, when it was Georgetown and St. John's and all those guys, right? Mike Slive said, Tranghese, you know college basketball. Come in and look at our conference, the SEC basketball. What are we doing wrong? And Tranghese said this, Patrick Young. Tranghese, his report came back. Yeah, his report came back to Mike Slive, and he said, you guys don't play any tough games in November, December, and it beats your ass in March Madness.
It does.
You've got to pick up your non-conference November, December.
Yeah.
And everybody did that, and guess what? It paid off in March.
Well, and what Tranghese told them, guys, is you've got to be willing to spend money to get better coaches and better facilities.
Absolutely.
And that's something that made a big difference.
The money.
Yes. Yes.
The schedule and the money. And now you look around that conference, and Florida's about to redo their place a little bit.
Right.
But, I mean, Auburn, no, it's not 21,000, but it's a relatively new arena.
It is.
Ole Miss, a relatively new arena.
Right.
Alabama's going to get antiquated Coleman out of there. Georgia's got to get out of there. But the arenas have gotten picked up, right? They've gotten picked up. But, man, it was some kind of night. What about tonight, though, Pat? It's going to be a fun basketball night. Pat, you may or may not have heard. I know you're traveling. The word is now, was it Adam Schefter said that the Jaguars have officially placed Trevor Lawrence on injured reserve. And, the injured reserve, back in the day, you were done for the year.
Yeah.
They've changed that now. It's a 4-week, but there's only 5 games left.
Yeah.
So he's shut down.
Sure.
Best move the Jaguars could have made.
No
the
question.
only move they could have made, because they've got to start worrying about mileage on Trevor Lawrence, right?
Yes, no doubt. And again, they've got to get better players, not only around him, but mostly in front of him.
Tell our listeners and viewers what you said as we broke a moment ago. I went to the restroom. We were taking a break, and we had just talked about and heard the news about Lawrence being shut down on IR for the Jags. And what did you make? What statement did you make about Clemson?
During the time he was at Clemson, Now, look, I understand the difference between pro and college.
I do too.
But I'm not sure that there were times, the cumulative time of being there, that at times he didn't have better players around him during that time.
I mean, think about what you said, and you know what? I can't disagree with you.
Yeah.
And again, you qualified it. We get it. A 21-year-old college junior senior versus a seasoned 28-year-old. Okay, we get that.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Sure.
But if you is the word extrapolated? If you saw into the future, Trevor Lawrence had 3 years at Clemson. He was probably surrounded by, I would guess, 4 or 5 guys that are starting in the NFL on the offensive line.
He had
receivers.
Yeah, Hunter Renfrow and guys like that.
Running backs.
Yeah.
Tight ends.
Yeah.
Receivers. Offensive line. If you took his 3 years at Clemson, I bet you could make. Somebody should do that. I'm too lazy.
It'd be an all-pro team, wouldn't it?
It would be a solid NFL team.
Absolutely. And
you've got to believe that Trevor Lawrence played behind, in his 3 years at Clemson at quarterback, he played behind 3 or 4 guys that are starting in the NFL.
And
on the offensive line. Wouldn't you think?
Where they were the strongest was not only the offensive line, but certainly the defensive line.
Oh, absolutely. By the way, which means getting him the ball back.
Yeah.
Getting him the ball back in a good field position. But then you take tight ends in 3 years. And I know Evan Ingram's pretty good. Wide receivers, running backs. He played with probably can we say he probably played with as talented a team if you extrapolated him ahead at Clemson as he did.
And look,
with the Jaguars.
I was at the national championship game when Bama Clemson played in Tampa. And I can tell you at that point, people really thought that Clemson was going on an Alabama run.
I agree.
Now, it didn't happen.
It felt like
it. But it sure felt like during that time it did.
And our buddy Russell says, enjoying the show, yes, shut Trevor down. I think, and most people agree with that now. It's time. Why add to his NFL odometer? I mean, he's got a lot of miles for 4 years.
Well, but see, and Dr. Bates can tell us this, you get hurt right now in November, and you're certainly, if you're a college player, you'll certainly miss spring.
Absolutely.
And you don't know when you'll be back for the fall.
Yeah. Man, that is a great point. You get hurt in December, January, regular season, NFL.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say meaningless, but I'm going to say meaningless football. If it's any CL, right? Any MLP CL.
Right.
You do a nasty sprained ankle. You're going to gimp around for 6 or 7 months.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not even going to be ready for, and you want to, particularly if you get a couple of receiver type players in the draft or free agency, you want to throw it around a little bit in May. Not much. It's not going to make it, but June. If you tear up an ankle or a knee right now,
absolutely,
you're done.
Or heavens forbid, an Achilles.
You're hoping to come back August 10th.
Yeah.
When camp.
Maybe.
Yeah. Interesting. You made a really, really good point there, though, about the talent at Clemson versus the talent out. I just don't know. Right now, I correlate FSU and the Jaguars. I think they are both deep in a hole. And, you look at FSU, today's signing day. They're going to sign a couple players, but the word is they're going to have a miserable signing class. Is that still the word?
We'll look at where they're ranked, yes.
The word is they're going to have a miserable signing class. And if you can't rebuild your program with a signing class, and generally your signing class is going to take a couple periods.
22nd.
That's
better than I thought they would be.
Same here. But if you can't rebuild your program with a signing class, which is tough to do because a lot of these guys aren't going to be quite ready, maybe 4 or 5. The other way is the portal. And, Norvelle had a little bit of portal success, but that was when his program was good.
Yeah, yes.
How is Mike Norvelle going to go sell his program to portal guys that are big-time players?
Well, you got playing time for one. And here's the other thing. I like the Nebraska hires. I think that's fine. But as we talked the other day, I am not impressed at all with bringing Gus Malzahn on to be the offensive coordinator.
My concern, I do like a seasoned, grizzled guy that's made calls and called plays. My concern with Malzahn is, boy, he's a type A head coach. He's I run the program head coach. That's my concern with him.
Yeah.
Is he going to take a subordinate role, and is he going to know how to, if the quarterback and the center and the wide receiver come to him above Mike Norvell's head at some point, is he going to know how to massage that or go, you know what? If I was running the team, my game, right?
Yes.
Right?
I wondered that. I wondered that too.
You pointed out Florida. I know it's signing day, and it can happen. Today, by the way, is not the last day you can sign, but most guys will sign. Where's Florida at? How's Florida doing?
Florida number 10. And look, here's your reality for Florida. What is and the thing that's so significant about this, Florida was in the 50s.
Isn't that amazing?
About a month ago. And these guys have signed Vernell Brown, Ben Hanks Jr., Jaden Woods, Hilton Stubbs. A lot of these guys were flips.
Yeah, a lot of flips.
Lagonza Hayward, he's out of Georgia. Jalen Wiggins from Tallahassee. Now we don't have time to break all these guys down, but the reality
Florida's
is
sitting at 10th in the nation.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And Patrick joins us. Patrick, 3 weeks ago, Florida football recruiting projection, they were in the 50s, for God's sakes. You don't win many SEC titles or national titles they're at 10, and I don't think the signing day is over yet.
No,
right?
It's not.
10,
no.
Patrick.
I feel like ideally, with the transfer portal being the a new factor in how good your team can be the next year, 10 seems like a perfect place. That you can bring some other transfer guys in, because there's rankings on that as well, right? Your transfer class that you bring in.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And
recently, top 10 in both of those seem pretty great.
And recently, in the last 3 or 4 days since the end of the regular season in Tallahassee, Florida has had 6 or 7 guys announced. The portal opens on Monday, but you can go ahead and announce that you're leaving, right? And a lot of guys do. Florida has cleared some space. Keep in mind, you got to have space to sign. You've got to have space, Patrick, to sign high school kids and portal kids. Well, I think it's felt perfect for Florida that they're cleaning out some what they think is dead weight.
They are.
I think Napier will have a monster portal class when it's over.
What's happened in Florida is they've got their collective together, and their collective right now is probably as good as anybody.
How about that?
In the money. As Scripture says, and the wine flowed freely. Well, I tell you right now, the money's flowing freely at Florida, and it's legal.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's doing it. By the way, we're waiting on this is from Clayton Freeman. We're waiting on Solomon Thomas. Pretty good trio here, Terry and Pat. Florida State, and LSU.
And Patrick, as we go to break, we'll track this. Is that a 5 o'clock signing?
It was 12 minutes ago. So I'm guessing it will be this hour.
And Patrick, I don't know if you're aware, Solomon Thomas is an offensive lineman. I think he's projecting as a tackle from Raines.
Yes.
He's a 5-star that has been committed to FSU for a long time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he is a plug and play if you need him. 5-star from Raines, and supposedly Florida's right back. If Florida lands this cat, and Pat, that could come down at any minute, I think, right? His signing day, they've got the table set up at Raines, it looks like, right?
Yes.
And they've got the hats on the table, Patrick. So we'll take a break here in a few minutes, but I think that's coming down.
Let me say this real quick. Oklahoma State Board of Regents special meeting for 2 days from now at 7:30 in the morning. Now, the Oklahoma State, both coordinators were fired today.
Yeah.
Does that mean somehow he saved his job, Mike Gundy, or does that mean that at the Board of Regents he'll be gone too?
And Patrick, you've heard me say I think Oklahoma State will part ways with Mike Gundy for the last couple of months. By the way, I like Mike Gundy. Mike Gundy, I could play for Mike Gundy. I think he's fun.
Yeah.
And
sure.
Mike Gundy, you guys remember, he's one of the tenured guys in college football. He's been at Oklahoma State pushing 20 years, Pat. And you guys remember, there was at least 3 years where Oklahoma State was a a tipped ball away from playing for a national title. I mean, he had them really close. Remember that, Pat?
Yes.
I'm trying to remember their runs. I know they've had some great studs come through there.
Yeah, they had some runs. I think Baylor beat them one year in the Big 12, and they might have gone on to the Final Four. And they've had good running backs. He's been really close, but he hasn't been able to take it quite over the top. And he's missed an opportunity. The last couple of years, Oklahoma State should have been able to get some distance on Oklahoma because Oklahoma's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, they are right now.
And they didn't.
And again, as we've said many times, Gundy almost took the Tennessee job not once, but 3 times.
Yeah, and Pat, I'm telling you, Mike Gundy in his 17 or 18 years at Oklahoma State, and you remember, Brent, he had Oak State close. I mean,
he did.
They were close to national title, Final Four type contention, and they just stubbed their toe here and there and everywhere. Hey, let's go ahead and take a break here, guys. We're obviously going to visit with Dr. Aaron Bates regarding a lot of the concussion talk with Trevor Lawrence, different injuries. Gosh, Tiger Woods still talking about coming back 6 back surgeries later. Come on, Tiger.
Yeah.
So we'll talk some sports medicine with Dr. Aaron Bates from Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. And Patrick and Brent, particularly Brent, I need you to track Solomon Thomas. He may or may not go to Florida. He may stay with Florida State.
Right.
He is a big win.
It sure is.
Late in the day on signing day, college football 2024. That and a whole lot more. We're talking ball, having a good time, hanging out at our Wednesday home. You know it, you love it. Our Hump Day edition comes to you every Wednesday from Twin Peaks.
At Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, we know pain and injuries can stop you from doing what you love. This is why our board-certified orthopedic specialists offer the latest in both non-surgical and surgical treatment options and create a treatment plan tailored to your unique lifestyle and goals. So, whether it is a sports injury or that nagging pain that's keeping you from doing what you love, our team has the right treatment for you. For more information or to schedule an appointment online, visit our website.
Finally, a family atmosphere, kid-friendly restaurant with a real sports bar feel. Rick's Jack's Beach features all of that and a large, climate-controlled covered patio with misting fans and heaters for all seasons. Mix in an extremely diverse menu that features the most quality and affordable steak at the beach, and there's no reason not to enjoy your next lunch, dinner, happy hour, or big sporting event at Rick's Jack's Beach, 300 2nd Street North in Jacksonville Beach. See you at Rick's Jack's Beach.
You really got to hand it to him. Hold on.
The previous play is under further review.
I'm not sure what he could review, but okay. Sure has been a while. Dynamic Hurricane Grill and Wings for the football season. Well, there he is. Oh, what is that?
The Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network is streaming. I'm Stuart Weber, and I'm here to teach you a nice 3-step process on how you can watch all your favorite programming from the Brent and Austin Show every weekday 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or the Cup Date with me. It's fantastic. We talk NASCAR. It's a great time. Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. All right, first step, easy. Download the Action News Jacks app. You probably already have it downloaded on your phone, so you might already have that one taken care of. Step 2, see that stack of pancakes up there? You click that stack of pancakes, and it's going to bring down step number 3, which is a full screen of all the different streams that you can click on, including the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 stream. You click that, the video's rocking and rolling on your mobile device. You're watching all the shows you want to, and you're having a good time. You can also do it on your smart TV with the Action News Jacks Now app. I do it on my Samsung TV at home. It's a great way to watch it on a nice, large screen for all the content. That's the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Hope you can find it.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242.
You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing.
Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Maybe you need a new tankless water heater or something a bit more intricate. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242 or cgcwater.com. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Okay, we kick off hour number 2. You know it by now. If it's Wednesday, that means we are set up the show here, as you can see, with Chris Kringle. We're set up here at our Wednesday home. Have a great time here. I want to thank Will and Jonathan, the managers, general managers here at Twin Peaks. One Twin Peaks in our area and more to come. This one has been here about a year now. It's been a wonderful, wonderful addition to our restaurant community. If you're not totally positive, I know we say Twin Peaks, Atlantic, and Kernan. The actual physical address, 11892 Atlantic Boulevard, but we're at the intersection. You know, there's a big setup right here. There's a Walmart right behind us, an overpass, Kernan and Atlantic. You can't miss Twin Peaks. Look for the big roadside sign with the two Zach mountain peaks. They're mountain peaks up in the air, if you know what I mean, Zach. Mountain peaks. You know what I mean? That will get you right here to Twin Peaks. They are also one of the corporate sponsors for the all the MMA fights and things like that. They're real proud. This is a fun hangout if you're looking for a crowd to watch. And December specials going on. A big merchandise special if you want to buy some Twin Peaks gear as a gift. Coming up, Anti-Prohibition Repeal Day promo paper. That's December 1 through 5. That goes through tomorrow. Let's party, they say, at Twin Peaks like 1933 in celebration of Prohibition Repeal Day. Who needs any stinking Prohibition repeal anyway? Come on. They're offering 1930s inspired cocktails for a steal in all their stores from December 1 through 5. So one more day to support Repeal Prohibition Day. You remember back in the day when our country, they would take the barrels and just smash them. And, and that didn't slow down the little speakeasy or anything.
No.
You know, Brent, you'd walk 4 steps down, turn left, knock 3 times, give a password, and you walk in, it's a freaking party.
Yeah.
Alcohol was illegal, but it was a party in our country. Yeah.
And that was the women with the long skirts and the hair in the bun. And they had the hammer was bigger than they were.
Yes. All kind of stuff. National Ugly Christmas Sweater Day will be celebrated right here at Twin Peaks on December 20th. Guys, get up here with your ugly sweaters. You will not be disappointed. And you know the girls are going to wear sweaters and not much more. And, that's a pretty good look.
Yeah.
Hey, and we can do this. This is PG. When the sweater comes like mid-thigh,
right.
That ain't a bad look, boys. Brent, can you give me a hell yeah? That ain't a bad look, boys. And there'll be a sporting those here.
Oh, Zach, help me, Zach.
December 20th, Zach. We'll come up here. And Zach, I think you and I have a
There's
show
nothing I can
meeting.
do to stop this.
Zach, I think you and I have a show meeting scheduled for December 20th, National Ugly Sweater Day.
Right.
And, Zach, I kind of know where you live at. You know where I live at. This is kind of right in the middle.
Yeah.
So, Zach, let's meet here. How's that?
Yeah, I mean, why not? That sounds good. Well, what day is this?
December 20th, National Ugly Sweater. And again, that mid-thigh sweater is a pretty good look on these young.
Yeah. By the way, just breaking SEC Network, SEC 2025 football schedule reveal.
Whoa.
December the 11th.
Whoa, already?
Yes.
We'll know one week from today.
Yeah.
We'll know what's coming up.
Yes.
What games are picking out?
Look, why don't they wait? Why don't they wait and do this in January when you've got, I mean, that'd be appointment television.
That is appointment television. And we'll go to that a million times in the offseason, won't we? Hey, Brent, before we get moving, and we're going to try and catch up with Dr. Bates with our Southeast Orthopedic Specialist sports medicine discussion. I made the statement yesterday, I think the whole week, and I'm going to stand by this, and I don't think it's a big, shocking thing. I predict that next year's Texas at Florida game, right? Because the schedules just switch, right?
They do.
Texas.
Yes.
I don't think Texas, and it might have happened in 1920 or 30, but nothing more modern than that.
Right.
I don't think Texas has ever rolled into Gainesville.
No, I know.
I don't think the Texas Longhorns. I know modern Texas football has never rolled into Gainesville.
Right.
Hell, Florida just rolled into Austin. Right?
Yeah.
I've made this statement. I'm going to stand by this, and I think it's true. Jump in and give me your yay or nay. I predict that next year's Texas at Florida football game in Gainesville, which you will have most likely a top 5 Texas team. They're going to play relatively early in the season, I think.
Sure.
You're going to have Texas roll in with all that fanfare. Texas is back, man. You're going to have Florida with DJ Lagway. I think Florida's going to be top 15 preseason. Who knows what?
We got Dr. Bates.
You're going to have Texas roll in with a guy named Arch Manning. Do you know how much pomp and circumstance? My prediction is that's going to be the toughest ticket in the history of Gator football in Gainesville.
Would
you stand by that?
Now they go to Miami. I'm just wondering, would that shock you when the schedule's revealed if that's not the opener in Gainesville?
Interesting. Regardless of where it happens, I think that'll be the toughest, highest price ticket.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
You're going to have Texas, who never comes into Gainesville.
Correct.
They're going to roll in high profile. They may be the national title winners.
Yeah.
And with a guy named Arch Manning, who his uncle was Peyton Manning, who never could get a win over Florida. Brent, will you support me here? That's going to be the toughest, most expensive ticket in the history of Gator football.
Well, and because people would be surprised how many Texas boosters and alums are in Florida.
How about that? Zach, I think you said we do have Dr. Bates. Is that right? I thought I heard. Yeah, there he is. Oh, there's my man. All right, Doc, we got some stuff to get into. Let's lead off. Certainly, you were probably watching the game. Brutal hit for Trevor Lawrence. Doc, when you saw it happen, the DB, I can't remember his name, he had a nasty elbow. The elbow went under the face mask. That was bad enough, but then the head hitting the turf is the issue, right? The head smashing the turf. Is that right? Oh, Doc, we got you on mute. Hold on 1 second. Go ahead. We'll get Doc. He can operate on knees, but he can't turn on that mute button. But I didn't say that because – hold on. 1, 2, 3. Zach, do something. Hit a button here. Anyway, this guy's too smart to not he's got stuff. Doc, 1, 2, 3. Give us 1, 2. No, we can't hear him.
I think it's on your phone.
It's on our phone?
No,
Doc's
it's on his phone. Yeah,
on
not
Doc's
Bates'
phone.
phone.
There we go. Yep. Where's Doc's wife? Get Doc's wife in here. Get Doc's kid. Where's Doc's kid at? Where's any 10th grade high school kid in the area?
My 10-year-old granddaughter.
All right, we'll get him fixed up there. But I'm thinking, and he's going to get his mute.
It could be muted. Yeah.
I think it was the head hitting the turf. Even though, did you see the replays? The elbow, the guy leads with his elbow, and it gets under the face mask at the neck. Well, you and I don't know if we visited much. Boy, that was an ugly.
It was.
And I know it happened quick. It was a quickly premeditated hit, I thought.
I mean, he's down. I mean, if you wanted to play two-hand touch, just to make it official, that's one thing. But, yes.
I still, and we may have, Doc, I hear a little stirring in the background. I still think football is going, and Brent, we may be gone. I think within 20, 25 years, I think football is going to eliminate the helmet. It's going to get so violent that the outcry is going to, I think, taking away the helmet gives you a false sense of I can do anything I want.
Maybe.
My head's,
good point.
Doc, you there? Hey, buddy.
Can you hear me?
Oh, you You sound a little not quite as good as you look. Okay, not quite as good as you look. Hey, Doc, you saw the hit, premeditated. It was the helmet to the ground that was the issue, right? I know the elbow went under the chin strap, the face mask, and into the throat area. But man, it was the hit to the helmet to the ground?
It was certainly the head contacting the ground, which I think was the worst part of the hit. He could have gotten some of it, with the forearm underneath the chin, but you're talking about an immovable object in the ground and his head coming at it at a great speed. And so that's what got him the concussion.
And when you saw that, immediately you knew. I mean, and Doc, are there grades of I know you and I, Pat, have talked about this a lot. I always forget. Are there grades of concussion? Are there levels of concussion, or are you just concussed?
Yeah, there's certainly a classification system of that focuses on, the amount of time that you've had some loss of consciousness, the amount of time you've had some amnesia of the events and things like that. But it's not really used when we talk about recovery and all of that. That's more based on, the overriding symptoms, post-concussion symptoms, and how people can, or athletes can, start to recover as far as not having lightheadedness or dizziness or photophobia, which is sensitivity to light, any nausea, things like that. So those things that's what we kind of look more to say, okay, this kid can be back playing or whatnot in, let's say, a week or 2 weeks. But those things are always changing. So you can't really say, okay, you've had loss of consciousness for less than 5 minutes, you've had amnesia for less than 24 hours or less than, a couple hours. So you're ready to come back in 4 or 5 days. It just doesn't work like that.
Interesting. Doc, I got a couple little spinoffs about concussions, if you can help in layman's terms. You've been a physician for professional teams. I think you worked for the Jaguars for a year.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
With that said, and as advanced as I'm even going to throw our big time college Power 5 schools, with it as advanced as we are, do the Jaguars, for example, does their medical staff, who's around them every day, practice and games, right? I mean, that medical staff down there is around that team, right? That's their full-time job. Do they keep a ledger in terms of a practice ledger? And I know most quarterbacks are off limits, but things happen in practice. Things happen. You get some rookie that hasn't been talked to, and he plows into a court. Do you think they keep a ledger and they say, man, player XYZ hit the ground really hard with his head on practice? Is there more of a ledger of potential trauma that they keep than we just see in games? I don't know if that made any sense.
Well, I think with this new era of being sensitive to concussions, there's likely more documentation for that than there was in the past. Yeah. Now, I don't know, as things happen in practice, who knows what the organization does. Or,
do you think they keep
documents.
a ledger? Do you think that there might be a situation where Lawrence accidentally got tripped, lost his balance, and smashed his head on the practice field? That counts. I mean, it doesn't matter if you get a smash, right? Do you think they keep a ledger on that?
If he wasn't seen for it, like seen and evaluated for it by the medical staff, the likelihood of them keeping a ledger is really low.
Okay, fair enough.
Not just seeing something in practice. There's a lot of things that happen in games and practice that it's just too much to kind of go through and say, okay, this person was hit this way, kind of looked like he was woozy, but nobody evaluated him.
I got you.
Which really doesn't happen now, because now they have spotters during games.
Good point.
That just sit up there in the box and they can call down and say, okay, this person, got tackled or tackled this other person, and there's question there, so they need to be evaluated by that non-biased, neurosurgeon or neurologist off on the sideline. That's what has been put in place over the last 13, 12 years.
Yeah. Good point.
Doug, Terry and I were talking a few minutes ago about players that get hurt in November and December. When can they come back? For instance, someone tears an ACL, someone breaks a bone. I mean, a lot of this stuff used to be, it seemed like that they had to miss spring practice if they were in college.
It was a year, man.
Yeah, and they were not sure when they would play again for the next season. Where are we now? And when players tear an ACL, break a bone, how if they do it now in November, December, when can they be back?
So that's a loaded question, and so you make two examples that are kind of far apart from each other, where it's ACL and a broken bone. So if you're talking about just any general injury, it's based on that injury. Now, are we better at getting folks back a little earlier? I think so, and I think that continues to evolve. ACL tears now we say 6 months. Right? You can be back 5 or 6 months. Are you going to be as good as you are if you're back at 9 to 12 months? Probably not.
Yeah.
But the way we're able to rehab players now, they're getting the best care possible from day one of surgery, from prior to surgery to post-operatively and all of that. And so,
go ahead.
But if we're talking about a fracture, obviously you gotta get the fracture to heal and then strengthen all the muscles around that area. Right. And typically fractures you can get back a little sooner than with ligament injuries.
Yeah. Doug, I've had players tell me that they've had ACL, they had surgery, they were back, but they said mentally,
we've talked about that.
It took them a year to where they were comfortable.
Scared to cut, scared to change direction.
How do you deal with the mental aspect of something like that?
Well, some of it is some people, actually have, certain docs that can take them through some, some mental emotional therapy, like sports therapists and stuff like that. That's on the highest level.
Right.
But the biggest thing is when they're able to get cleared to go back to play, slowly working them into game type situations, right? So when you first come back to play, there's something called proprioception, particularly if you're talking about ACLs, where you don't really know where your foot is in space as well as you did prior to the injury and surgery and all of that. And that takes a while to get back. And so you can do all of the drills and all of that you want, but until you're in that game time situation where it's just all reaction, where you feel like you can get to a certain space, but you're not actually getting to that space, that's proprioception.
I remember when you Doc, I remember when you explained that months ago. That what you were like,
that's
wow,
amazing.
You don't even think how the human body processes or doesn't process, and you the fear factor somewhere in the back of that body. Doc, when Trevor went down, I don't know if what I'm going to say matters at all from a physician standpoint, but in the sports world versus, I would imagine your patients that come to Southeast Orthopedic Specialists that walk in Dr. Bates' door, you haven't actually seen the injury. They come in, their knees blown out, their ankles blown out, their shoulders blown out. You didn't actually see that. You're going on your hands-on evaluation, and they're verbal. Okay, I was in a car accident. Okay, I fell off the ladder at work. Okay, I was playing pickleball. Does it matter one way or the other? Does it speed things up? Does it rule things out? Does it rule a team physician such as the Jaguars? That main orthopedic surgeon for the Jaguars saw the injury, or that neuro guy for the Jags. Does that factor at all? They actually saw the injury versus a patient comes in and says, I can't walk. I think I fell off the ladder and something's bad. I don't know if that matters at all.
Yeah, visualizing the mechanism of injury is a great advantage. First of all, on diagnosis, right? Just to diagnose the injury. I don't know if it's as much for treatment and to know when somebody's going to be back and all that, because that's you're getting into the devils of the details there as far as MRIs and x-rays and things like that. But to see an injury and versus somebody trying to explain it to you that just walks into the office, and that those are two different things. And, you know, I have to decipher from patients in the office what went on, even athletes, to say what they've felt happened on the field, whether soccer or football or whatever. And take it for an instance, you know, when I'm diagnosed an ACL tear, someone will say, "Oh, I got tangled up with a player," or a person hit me. But what they did was they planted, and it was a non-contact injury, but they got contacted sometime after that, and so they relate that contact to the injury when that really wasn't part of the injury.
So that was a great assumption of mine, right? I mean, I was thinking about that the other day when I saw it happen. I go, you know what? The neuro for the Jaguars probably was watching, or he can go back and see the injury versus, man, I was in a car accident, my leg got crunched or what have you. Doc, getting back to the concussion, and you mentioned visual and light sometime, you know, too much light early in a concussion recovery. What about hearing? What about hearing? A stadium is loud and football's loud. I always hear the concussion about, they don't want to be, when they're concussed, they want to stay away from light and bright lights. We know that's in the stadium. What about hearing? Is hearing a factor in that as well?
It can be, depends on the symptoms, but it can be. Some people have irritation to loud noise, loud sounds, things like that, and that can affect recovery sometimes. But you know, the recovery and the treatment for concussions are evolving so quickly that sometimes now they're talking about, you know, and I'm not a concussion specialist at all, but you know, somewhat stressing the brain in a certain way. But that's a very fine line, you know, trying to stress it to get it to heal a little bit quicker. But again, those are all fine line types of things that you know we're talking about, or that people that are in that specialty are talking about when they're studying concussions and the recovery from concussions and all of that.
Doc, the season's over at Maryland, but we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you, have you heard from Mike Locksley?
Coach Locksley,
Was he, I know he wanted a better record, but was he and were you pleased with the progress that they made this year?
You know, we knew it was going to be a tough year for him just because of the expansion of the Big Ten. And so I think he would have loved to have gotten 6 wins to make another bowl game. You know, because he had 3 years in a row where he made a bowl game. It's a tough conference. And,
it is.
You know, I you know, was he disappointed? I don't know. I didn't talk to him personally since the ending of the season. I'm sure he would have hoped to have at least another couple wins under his belt. There was a couple that got away from him that I think he thought they really should have gotten. But again, it's a tough conference, and so it's just gonna go back to the drawing board and, you know, try to regroup and get more players in and, you know, work on 2025.
Doc, Tiger Woods made the news yesterday, today. 48 years old. I think he just had my notes say 6th back surgery. He's had 6. He said, hey, man, he basically came out and said, hey, I'm nowhere near ready to compete with the big boys on the PGA. I mean, Doc, 6 back surgeries in, 48 years old. I use this on Trevor Lawrence a lot, and I'll use it on Tiger Woods. Boy, his golf body injury odometer has a lot of miles on it, man. A lot of miles. I know you can't say this without saying, but, man, does somebody need to go to him? And I mean, you make your own decision. You're a grown man, but I mean, 6, does he need to say, hey, man, start thinking senior tour and play every 6 weeks? Don't think about the big boys who are 29, 30 years old, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to tell someone that's done that all his life.
I know, man. It's
not
tough.
to try to play at the highest level and where he was to where he is now. And, you know, I mean, I get it. But 6 back surgeries, not great. And not a good outcome for or prognosis for getting back to actually competing with the best in the world.
You know, one of the staying with golf real quick, and Doc will let you go. I know you're wrapping up your busy day. honors in golf, but you have to be such a